The endless void of space was silent. Stars shimmered in the Black Sea like forgotten memories. For over 200 years, the Zorath Empire ruled the galaxy with iron claws. They had crushed every rebellion, burned every world that dared to resist, and erased entire species that stood in their way. Among their many victories, the fall of Earth was their proudest. Humanity had fought bravely, but in the end, their world was turned to ash. The Empire believed no human survived. For centuries, the name human was only mentioned as a warning. Defy the Empire and share their fate. But tonight, in a quiet sector at the edge of known space, something strange stirred. Captain Varin Kor of the Zorath Empire leaned over his control table aboard the ISS Vornak. His reptilian eyes glowed faintly green as he studied a flickering signal on the holographic screen. "Origin?" he asked his navigator. The smaller alien fidgeted with his instruments. "Unclear, sir. The transmission is ancient. Terran code frequency," Varin frowned. "Terran? You mean human?" The navigator nodded nervously. "Yes, sir, but that's impossible. The humans are gone." Varin's long claws tapped the metal table. "And yet the signal exists." He straightened his posture and gave the order. "Set a course for the source. Let's see what ghosts haunt this sector." The Zorath ship glided silently toward a dead grey planet. Its surface was cracked and lifeless, scarred by meteor strikes and old bombardments. Scanners detected no life, no movement, no atmosphere fit for breathing, but the signal continued, a repeating message, faint but steady. "This is the Terran Defense Network. If you can hear this." "We are still here," the crew shivered. "Old distress beacon," said one officer. "Probably running for centuries." Varin narrowed his eyes. "Then why did no one find it before now?" No one answered. As the ship descended into the planet's orbit, the crew spotted something, metal structures half buried in dust. "Broken towers, shattered domes, the skeletons of starships, ruins," Varin muttered. "Ancient human colony, perhaps." He ordered a landing team to investigate. When the Zorath soldiers stepped onto the surface, their boots sank into ash. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. Every sound echoed unnaturally. Then, deep within the ruins, one of the soldiers called out, "Sir, you need to see this." Varin approached. In front of him stood a massive steel door, still humming faintly with power. Human symbols glowed dimly on its surface. UNSC Defense Vault. The captain smirked. After 200 years, their machines still breathe. He raised his claw. "Open it." The soldiers placed charges and blasted the door open. A thick cloud of dust filled the air. They stepped inside. Rows of consoles flickered to life. Blue lights illuminated the dark chamber. In the center of the room was a single screen. Then a voice spoke. "Welcome back, Captain Varin Kor of the Zorath Empire." Varin froze. "What?" The crew exchanged nervous looks. "How does it know your name, sir?" The voice continued, calm and human. "We've been waiting for you." The lights turned red. The floor vibrated. A low hum filled the vault. "Get out!" Varin shouted, but before they could move, the ceiling split open, revealing hundreds of hidden drones, small, metallic, and armed. Their red eyes blinked alive. The voice spoke again. "You forgot us!" "But we never forgot you." The drones opened fire. Explosions tore through the chamber. The Zorath soldiers screamed as plasma burned through armor. Varin barely managed to run back to the shuttle, shouting, "Take off! Take off now!" The Vornak lifted into the air, engines roaring. But something was following. A swarm of automated defense drones launching from the ruins. "Shields up!" cried the pilot, the sky filled with fire. The alien ship dodged, weaving between blasts. But the drones were fast, too fast. One struck the engine. Another hit the fuel core. The Vornak began to fall. Varin roared in fury. "Transmit to command!" "Humans," the ship exploded before he could finish. Hours later, across the galaxy, deep in the Zorath capital, an alarm echoed through the Emperor's throne hall, a message replayed from the destroyed ship's black box, one final transmission fragment. "They're alive. The humans. They're..." Static, the hall fell silent. The Emperor leaned forward, his dark scales shimmering under the light. "Impossible," he whispered. "They were extinct," his general bowed nervously. "Yet the signal is confirmed, my Emperor." A human voice, the Emperor's tail flicked with irritation. "Find them. Erase them again, completely this time." He turned to the galaxy map, watching the small sector where the signal came from. There, on the edge of darkness, a faint blue light pulsed, the mark of the old Terran code, and far away, hidden deep within the same dead system, a human woman watched the explosion from her command deck. Her name was Commander Rhea Solis. Her voice was quiet, but full of fire. "The Empire remembers us again," she said. "Good. Now the real war begins." For weeks, the Zorath Empire searched the outer sectors. Every commander wanted to be the one who found the humans. But all they found were wrecked ships and empty signals, ghosts in the dark. At first, the Empire thought it was a trick. But then the attacks began. A cargo convoy was traveling through Nebula Zone 7, 6 heavy freighters, guarded by a Zorath destroyer. They were carrying plasma cores, vital for the Empire's warships. Suddenly, all long-range sensors went blind. Static filled the screens. The destroyer's captain shouted, "What's happening?" "Who's jamming us?" Then out of the mist a fleet appeared, dark shapes with no transponder signals. Old Terran hull designs, but upgraded. Ships that should have been ancient, moved with deadly precision. The lead ship fired first. Blue plasma cut through the Zorath destroyer's shields like paper. One by one, the freighters exploded. Before the Empire could react, the attackers vanished into the nebula, gone like ghosts. Only one broken freighter survived long enough to send a message. They came out of nowhere. Human ships, with Earth emblems. In the Zorath command chamber, Admiral Kryn stared at the transmission. He was old, proud, and cruel, the kind of officer who believed fear kept order. "Humans," he hissed. "Impossible. A myth made by cowards who can't face failure." A young officer hesitated. "But sir, the recordings—" Kryn slammed his clawed fist on the table. "They're pirates. Scavengers using old Terran tech. The humans are extinct. They will stay extinct." But even as he said it, reports kept arriving. Patrols missing, stations destroyed, all in the same mysterious pattern. Fast attacks, no survivors, no evidence left behind. The Zorath soldiers began whispering a name. They called it the Ghost Fleet. On the far edge of the galaxy, hidden inside a swirling blue nebula, that Ghost Fleet waited. Dozens of human ships floated in silence, their hulls patched with stolen alien metal and painted black for stealth. At the center of the fleet was the UNS Phoenix, the flagship of Commander Rhea Solis. She stood on her command deck, her short dark hair reflecting the glow of the control screens. Her eyes were tired but sharp, eyes of someone who had seen too much death and refused to stop fighting. Her crew watched her closely. Everyone respected her. For them, she wasn't just a leader. She was the reason humans still existed. Lieutenant Harper approached. "Ma'am, the convoy raid was a success. Empire lost 6 ships. No human losses," Rhea nodded. "Good, but we can't get comfortable. Every victory makes them more desperate." She looked out the window at the endless field of stars. "Do you know what the Empire believes?" she said softly. "They think humanity was erased, that we're just dust and memory. But they don't understand what memory means to us." Harper smiled faintly. "We remember everything, ma'am." Rhea turned to him. "Exactly. Every city they burned, every life they ended. That's why we fight, not for revenge, but so no one forgets what they did to Earth." Far away, the Zorath Empire gathered intelligence. One freighter's black box had survived long enough to record an image, a blurred shot of the Ghost Fleet. Among the shapes of the ships, one symbol was visible, the blue-white emblem of Earth, with the old words beneath it, "United Nations Space Command." Kryn's blood boiled as he watched the image. "How dare they use that symbol again? Find them. I want their leader's head." A voice from the back spoke carefully. "Reports say the leader is a human female, name unknown." "Call sign Phoenix 1. Kryn's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll burn the Phoenix out of the stars. Back in the nebula, alarms rang through the Ghost Fleet. "Multiple Zorath ships entering the sector," shouted a sensor officer. Rhea reacted instantly. "All ships, silent mode. No signals, no movement. Let them come." The Empire ships entered slowly, scanning the area. To them, the nebula was a maze of dust and energy. They couldn't see clearly. Inside the fog, human ships stayed completely still. Engines off, power minimal. They looked like pieces of rock drifting through gas. Then, when the Zorath fleet reached the center, Rhea gave the order. Now. Every human ship powered up at once. Blue light flared in the mist. Missiles and plasma fire lit up the darkness. The Zorath commander screamed orders, but it was too late. One by one, their ships exploded. No time to call for help. Within minutes, silence returned. The Ghost Fleet vanished again, leaving only wreckage behind. After the battle, Rhea stood alone on her deck. She recorded a short message, voice calm but full of warning. "To the Zorath Empire, you thought we were gone. You thought you could erase us. But ghosts never die. We are humanity, and we remember." The message was transmitted across the outer sectors. By the time the Empire intercepted it, millions had already heard the words, and in the shadowed halls of the Zorath capital, the Emperor listened in silence. His claws tightened around his throne. "Find them," he whispered coldly. "Burn every world they touch. And if humans still breathe, we will teach them fear again." But deep inside the nebula, Rhea Solis smiled. Her fleet was growing. More survivors were joining every day. And for the first time in centuries, humanity had something the Empire could not destroy. Hope. The Ghost Fleet had become legend. Across the stars, whispers spread like wildfire. The humans are back. The Ghost Fleet destroyed an entire Zorath patrol. Their leader is a woman who can't die. The Empire called her a terrorist. The humans called her a savior. The galaxy called her Commander Rhea Solis. Far inside the blue mist of the Orion Nebula, Rhea stood on the deck of her flagship, the UNS Phoenix. Outside, dozens of human ships floated silently, survivors from old colonies, mining outposts and forgotten bunkers. They were the last of their kind, bound together by a single purpose: to make humanity matter again. Rhea's eyes followed the stars beyond the glass. Each light out there reminded her of a name, someone lost when Earth fell. She whispered, "We survived, but we paid the price." Lieutenant Harper approached with a datapad. "Commander, the Empire's patrols are getting closer. 3 systems have gone dark in the last week." Rhea took the datapad, scrolling through the reports. "More deaths," she said quietly. "They're afraid, so they're burning everything." Harper hesitated. "Ma'am, some of the crew are saying we should stop, hide, rest." Rhea turned, her voice calm but cold. "Do you think the Empire ever stopped? When they burned Earth? When they hunted our families?" Harper lowered his eyes. "No, ma'am." "Then neither do we," Rhea said. "Not until the last chain breaks." Later, she sat alone in her quarters, a small metal room filled with old relics from Earth, a cracked photograph of a blue sky, a dusty United Nations badge, and on her table a half-burned medal, her father's, from the final defense of Earth. She held it in her hand, remembering the day everything ended. Flashback, 200 years ago. The skies above Earth were fire. The Zorath ships blotted out the sun, raining plasma onto the oceans. Rhea was a soldier then, young, brave, and foolish enough to believe humanity could win. She fought until the end, defending the last evacuation ship, but when the capital fell, she was captured. The Zorath scientists studied her, testing human endurance, mind, and pain. For 10 long years, she lived in the shadows of their laboratories, a number instead of a name, until one night the power grid failed. She escaped, stealing a transport and vanishing into deep space. There, in the ruins of forgotten colonies, she found other survivors, miners, engineers, soldiers. Together, they became the Ghost Fleet. Back in the present, Rhea opened her eyes. The memories still burned like open wounds, but they also gave her strength. She placed the medal back on the table and whispered, "Father, I couldn't save Earth then, But I will protect what's left now. On the command deck, the crew was busy. They were tracking a large Zorath convoy, full of fuel and weapons. Rhea appeared, her voice calm and sharp. Let's hit them before they reach Sector Delta. Use silent entry. Quick strike, then vanish. The fleet moved like shadows. Human ships slid through the darkness, engines muted. When the convoy came into view, Rhea gave the signal. Fire! Explosions bloomed like stars. The Zorath ships tried to fight back, but the Ghost Fleet moved too fast, striking from all directions. In minutes, the battle was over. As they looted supplies, Harper smiled. Another clean victory, Commander. Rhea didn't smile back. No victory is clean, Lieutenant. They'll come harder next time. He hesitated. Ma'am, some of the crew say you never sleep. You never laugh. They're afraid of you. Rhea looked at him. Good, fear keeps them alive. I'm not here to be loved. I'm here to make sure humans have a future. That night, deep in the Empire's capital, Admiral Kryn slammed his claws on the war table. Another convoy destroyed, another system gone dark. He glared at the hologram of a human woman, blurred but recognizable. She's mocking us. His second-in-command bowed. Our spies found something. Commander Rhea Solis, former Earth soldier captured during the fall, escaped from the Zorath labs 10 years later. Kryn's eyes narrowed. So she knows our weaknesses. Yes, sir. Then we'll make her our target. Find her, break her fleet. And this time, no mercy. Days later, Rhea received an encrypted message, coordinates from an unknown source. It claimed to show the location of an old human weapons cache. Harper warned her. It could be a trap. Rhea smiled slightly. Of course it's a trap. But sometimes the bait is worth it. The Phoenix and 2 escort ships jumped to the coordinates, a barren asteroid field orbiting a red dwarf star. They found what looked like old Terran wrecks floating in silence. But as soon as they approached, alarms screamed, multiple contacts. Empire ships decloaking. Rhea's eyes flashed. Ambush. Evasive maneuvers. Lasers cut through the void. One human ship exploded instantly. Another was hit hard. Rhea gritted her teeth. All ships retreat to Vector 9. Drop decoys! They escaped, barely. The Phoenix's hull was scorched, its engines damaged. Harper looked shaken. We lost 20 people. Rhea stared out into the void. Then we'll make the Empire lose 200 more. Far away, Admiral Kryn smiled as he watched the recording of the ambush. Now we know her face. We know her ship. He leaned closer to the hologram. Commander Rhea Solis. Your legend ends soon, but Rhea wasn't done. In the darkness of her command deck, she whispered, You can hunt me, Kryn. You can find me. But you'll never break the spirit of the humans. Because we don't fade. We fight. The stars outside shimmered, and the Ghost Fleet prepared for its next move. A strike that would shake the Empire to its core. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Every week, another Zorath ship vanished. Convoys destroyed. Outposts raided. Entire fleets humiliated. The Ghost Fleet had become the Empire's nightmare. And the name Rhea Solis was now whispered with fear. But the Empire was not an enemy that forgave. Deep inside the Zorath capital, the Emperor sat in his dark throne room. Cold blue light reflected off his black armor. Around him, generals stood in silence. Admiral Kryn stepped forward and bowed. My Emperor, we've tracked the human fleet. They're hiding in the Charon Nebula. The Emperor's eyes glowed like molten fire. Then burn the nebula, he said softly. Erase everything inside it. Ships, rocks, dust, all of it. Kryn nodded. As you command. He turned to his officers. Prepare the armada. We end the Ghost Fleet tonight. Meanwhile, inside the nebula, Commander Rhea Solis stood at the bridge of the UNS Phoenix. Her crew worked silently, repairing engines and recalibrating shields after their last battle. Lieutenant Harper approached. Scouts report unusual activity. Empire fleets are moving fast, toward us. Rhea looked calm, but her eyes darkened. So the hunt begins, Harper frowned. We can't face their full force, ma'am. They'll crush us. Rhea turned toward him. We don't need to face them. We'll make them face themselves. Hours later, the stars outside the nebula glowed red as the Zorath Armada entered. Hundreds of warships moved in formation, engines blazing. It was the largest military operation since the fall of Earth. Admiral Crin's voice echoed through the fleet. Humans hid here for too long. Today, their ashes will scatter with the stars. The first wave entered the nebula, scanners struggling in the thick fog. Static filled the comms. Visibility dropped to almost zero. Then came the first explosion. A Zorath battleship hit something. A mine, then another. In seconds, chain reactions tore through the mist. Dozens of explosions shook the fleet. Crin shouted, "What's happening?" "Report, minefield, sir." "They knew we were coming," Crin growled. "They lured us here." And he was right. Rhea's fleet had laid thousands of hidden mines weeks before, traps waiting in silence. Now they exploded like fireworks across the nebula, tearing the Empire's front line apart. From her command deck, Rhea watched the chaos. "Phase 1 complete," she said. "Now, Phase 2. Human ships powered up and charged from the fog, firing in perfect coordination. Old Terran weapons, modified with stolen alien energy, ripped through Zorath armor." Rhea's voice rang across all comms. "This is for Earth, for every life they burned." The humans struck fast, then vanished back into the mist. Every time the Empire fired back, they hit nothing but smoke and ghosts. Admiral Crin's fleet began to crumble. "Pull back," he shouted. "Regroup outside the nebula." But it was too late. More mines exploded. Another battleship went dark, and above the chaos, Rhea's ship appeared, engines glowing bright like a burning star. Crin saw it on his scanners. "There she is, Commander Rhea Solis," he smiled coldly. "Target her flagship. All weapons!" Hundreds of cannons fired. Plasma beams cut through the void. The Phoenix shook violently as its shields flared. Shields at 40%. Harper shouted. Rhea gritted her teeth. "Keep firing! Focus on their command ship!" Her gunners obeyed. A direct hit struck Crin's battleship, ripping through its engines. The ship spun out of control, flames spreading through the decks. Crin slammed his fist on the console. "She thinks she's won?" He activated a distress beacon. "All remaining ships, fall back to Sector 10. This isn't over." When the smoke cleared, the nebula was filled with drifting wrecks, pieces of Zorath metal burning in silence. The Ghost Fleet had won their greatest victory yet, but Rhea didn't celebrate. She looked at the ruined battlefield and said softly, "They'll come again. And next time, they'll bring everything." Harper stood beside her. "Still, today we proved humanity isn't gone." Rhea nodded. "Yes, but the cost will rise. They'll come for blood." Days later, on the Empire's homeworld, the Emperor watched the battle reports in silence. He could hear the fear in his generals' voices. So many ships lost, so much pride broken. Finally, he stood and said one sentence that made the entire chamber fall silent. "Find where they come from." Crin, burned but alive, looked up. "You mean their base?" The Emperor's voice was cold as stone. "Not just their base, their world. Find Earth." Back in the hidden human sector, the Phoenix docked near an asteroid base. Rhea stepped into the command room, where engineers were gathered around a massive hologram, a secret project. The chief scientist smiled. "Commander, the final tests are complete. The Helios cannon is ready." Rhea looked at the hologram. "A weapon so large it could pierce a fleet in one shot," she whispered. "Then it's time the galaxy learned what humanity can build." Harper frowned. "What if they find us before we finish it?" Rhea turned to him, her expression hard. "Then we fight until the last ship falls. Because if we run, Earth dies again." She walked to the main window, looking out at the stars. "They thought we were dust. They thought we were gone. But we are the fire that never goes out." And far across the void, hidden deep beneath a shattered moon, the Empire's spies transmitted new coordinates. A planet cloaked by strange energy fields. A world still alive. The message reached the Emperor. He smiled slowly. "So Earth still breathes." His claws tapped the table. "Then we burn it again." The Zorath Empire was furious. Hundreds of their ships destroyed. Entire sectors lost to the Ghost Fleet. And now they had a new target, the hidden heart of humanity. The Emperor had one command. Find where they were born. Find Earth. And his hunters obeyed. Deep in the black of space, 3 Zorath spy ships drifted silently. They searched old war zones, ruined colonies, and dead stars, chasing rumors. Then one ship picked up something strange, an energy field so massive that scanners couldn't read through it. Captain Salar Vek, leader of the scout group, frowned at his display. Readings are unstable. Power output is enormous, almost like a planetary shield. His officer looked nervous. There's no planet in this sector, sir. Only debris. Salar stared at the screen. A faint blue outline appeared, round, too perfect to be a rock. He whispered, then maybe the debris is hiding something. Moments later, his ship vanished into the field. On the other side, Salar's crew gasped. Before them lay a green and blue world, alive and shining beneath the stars. By the gods, Salar muttered. That's impossible. Continents, oceans, clouds, everything matched the records of a lost world. He checked the scanners again, hands shaking. Coordinates confirm it. This is Earth. Before he could transmit the data, alarms blared. A beam of blue light struck their ship, disabling all systems instantly. Unknown vessel approaching, shouted the pilot. A massive human warship appeared, dark, silent, with glowing blue insignia. On its hull were painted the words, UNS Phoenix. Commander Rhea Solis appeared on the holoscreen. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned cold. You came too far, she said. And you won't be leaving. Salar tried to speak, but the line went dead. Moments later, the Zorath ships were gone, reduced to ash by precision plasma fire. Rhea turned to her crew. They've found the cloak's edge, she said quietly. They'll be back. Lieutenant Harper frowned. Can we move Earth again? The chief engineer shook his head. Impossible. The cloaking field is stable but immovable. If they bring a fleet, they'll find us. Rhea crossed her arms. Then we fight where we stand. From orbit, the hidden planet looked beautiful, a reborn world. After Earth was destroyed, humanity's survivors had spent centuries rebuilding it. Massive cloaking generators wrapped the planet in energy, hiding it from sensors and light. They called it New Earth, though Rhea never used that name. To her, it was simply home. On the surface, cities gleamed under twin moons. Children played in green fields. Farmers tended crops under protective domes. Humanity had risen again, quietly, secretly, waiting for this day. In the Capitol Dome, Rhea stood with the Earth Council. Old scientists, engineers, and soldiers who had survived the fall. The cloak won't last forever, said Dr. Ilara Venn, the head scientist. The Empire has found a way to scan cloaked sectors. It's only a matter of time, Rhea nodded. Then we use the time we have. She activated a hologram, a massive cannon built into Earth's orbit. The Helios cannon. Fully operational, Ilara smiled faintly. For the first time in 2 centuries, yes. It can destroy entire fleets. But it has one weakness. It takes hours to recharge. Rhea's expression hardened. Then we make our first shot count. Across the galaxy, Admiral Kryn's fleet picked up Salar's last transmission before his death. The coordinates were incomplete, but enough to find the right sector. Kryn grinned. So it's true. Earth survived. He turned to his officers. Prepare all forces. We will burn their world again, and this time there will be nothing left. Back on Earth, the people prepared for war. Factories roared to life. Old Earth ships were pulled from storage and refitted with new weapons. Children and elders were evacuated to deep shelters. Rhea stood on the balcony of the command tower, watching the city lights below. Harper joined her quietly. Never thought I'd see Earth like this again. Rhea smiled faintly. She's been waiting for us. He nodded toward the stars. And the Empire? Her eyes turned cold. Let them come. This time, we're ready. 3 days later, the stars near Earth began to flicker, not from light but from movement. The Zorath Armada had arrived. Thousands of ships filled the void. Admiral Kryn's voice echoed across their comms. Humans rebuilt their home. Let's destroy it again. From orbit, alarms blared across Earth. Multiple warp signatures detected. Massive fleet incoming. Rhea stepped onto the Phoenix's bridge. All ships, defensive formation. Power up the Helios cannon. The sky turned crimson as the first Zorath barrage hit the outer shields. Explosions painted the night. But Earth's defenses held. Then, with a deep hum that shook the planet, the Helios cannon charged. Energy gathered into a beam of pure sunlight. Rhea gave the order. Fire! The beam tore through the black, slicing across space like a sword of fire. Entire Zorath warships disintegrated in seconds. The Empire's front line was wiped out in one blast. The humans on the ground cheered, crying and shouting in joy. But Rhea didn't smile. She looked at the long-range scanners and whispered, "They'll send more." That was just the beginning. In the distance, deep in enemy territory, the Emperor watched the footage in silence. The fire from the Helios cannon reflected in his eyes. He turned to Kryn's image and said coldly, "Impressive. For insects. Prepare the Sunbreaker. If they wish to defend Earth, we will burn their sun itself." And across the void, Rhea Solis stared into the stars, her reflection glowing in the glass. She whispered, "Then the final war has begun." The Zorath Empire had declared total war. The humans had revealed their hidden world, Earth reborn, and struck the Empire's fleets with the terrifying power of the Helios cannon. But the Emperor was not beaten. He had unleashed something new, something ancient and forbidden, a weapon built to destroy suns. Its name was the Sunbreaker, and it was coming. Commander Rhea Solis stood on the bridge of the UNS Phoenix. Outside her window, Earth glowed beneath the shields, blue oceans and white clouds, a fragile jewel in the dark. Her officers worked quietly, tension heavy in the air. Lieutenant Harper broke the silence. Scouts report movement in the outer sectors. Dozens of fleets, maybe hundreds. Rhea didn't look away from the window. "They're bringing everything." "Yes, ma'am," Harper said. "Every ship the Empire owns. We're outnumbered 100-1. Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then we make them pay for every inch of space they take." Far away, the Zorath Armada assembled near the black edge of the galaxy. Thousands of ships, battleships, carriers, destroyers, stretching farther than the eye could see. At their center floated the Sunbreaker, a weapon the size of a moon, glowing with red light. Admiral Kryn stood on its control deck, staring at the hologram of Earth. "The Emperor wants their sun burned out," he said. "And I will do it myself," he raised his clawed hand. "All ships advance. Begin the final assault." In the skies above Earth, alarms echoed through every base. Massive warp signatures detected. Multiple fleets incoming. Rhea stepped onto the main deck. "All ships. Defensive grid pattern, Alpha 9. Activate orbital shields." Across space, the Ghost Fleet formed a shining wall of steel. Human ships, patched and old, stood shoulder to shoulder like warriors from another age. Rhea's voice echoed across all channels. "This is Commander Rhea Solis of Earth. The Empire has come to finish what they started. But we are not the same broken people they remember. We are the children of the ashes. We fight for our world, and for the stars they stole from us." A cheer rose from every human ship. Engines flared, weapons locked. The final war had begun. The first wave hit like a storm. Zorath destroyers unleashed torrents of plasma, lighting up the void. Human fighters darted between the blasts, firing missiles and EMP charges. 2 human frigates exploded, their debris scattering like sparks. Rhea clenched her fists. "Hold formation! Focus fire on the flanks!" Harper shouted. "We can't hold them all!" Rhea answered sharply. "We don't have to. We just have to hold long enough for the Helios cannon to charge." Below them, Earth trembled as the giant weapon came online again. Massive energy conduits glowed with orange light. Inside the control chamber, scientists worked frantically. "Charging sequence at 60%, one called. "We need 3 more minutes." Rhea's fleet fought to buy them that time. Every second felt like an hour. A Zorath battleship broke through the front line, heading straight for Earth. Rhea shouted, "Target that ship!" Now the Phoenix's cannons fired, blue beams tearing through the monster's hull. The ship exploded, its wreckage lighting up the darkness like a dying star. Then a new light appeared, red and terrible. At the far edge of the system, the Sunbreaker arrived. Its massive energy core pulsed like a heartbeat. It didn't aim at the human ships. It aimed at the sun itself. "Commander," Harper yelled. "They're targeting the star." Rhea froze. If they destroy the sun, Earth dies. Everything dies. She took a deep breath. Then we stop it before it fires. The Phoenix turned sharply, engines blazing. Set a course for the Sunbreaker, Rhea ordered. All remaining ships follow me. Dozens of human ships broke formation and charged through enemy fire, heading straight toward the massive weapon. They dodged plasma, flew through wreckage, and blasted a path through the chaos. Helios cannon ready to fire. Came the transmission from Earth. Rhea didn't hesitate. Target the Sunbreaker, fire! A beam of white light shot from Earth's orbit, streaking across space. It hit the Sunbreaker's side, a direct hit, but the weapon didn't break. Harper stared in disbelief. It's still active. Rhea clenched her jaw. Then we do it ourselves. She opened a private channel to the fleet. This is Rhea Solis. If we fail, Earth burns. We can't let that happen. Not again. Follow me to the end. The Phoenix led the charge, weaving through enemy fire. Zorath fighters tried to block them, but human ships rammed through. Explosions filled the black sky. Rhea's ship reached the Sunbreaker's outer hull. Boarding teams, deploy, she ordered. Small pods shot out, crashing into the weapon's surface. Human soldiers stormed inside, fighting through narrow corridors against alien guards. Rhea joined them, plasma rifle in hand. She moved like a storm, focused, silent, unstoppable. At the heart of the Sunbreaker, a glowing reactor pulsed violently. Admiral Kryn stood before it, waiting. When he saw Rhea, he smiled cruelly. So the ghost finally shows her face. Rhea aimed her rifle. This ends here, Kryn, he laughed. Yes, for both of us. He lunged forward, claws striking, but Rhea fired first. Bolts of plasma tore through his armor. He fell to his knees, eyes burning with hate. Human, vermin, he hissed. Rhea looked down at him. No, we're survivors. She turned to the reactor. Harper, detonate the charges. Commander, that will destroy the ship and us. Rhea smiled softly. Then Earth will live. The explosion was brighter than any sunrise. The Sunbreaker broke apart, its fiery heart tearing itself to pieces. The shockwave rippled through space, destroying hundreds of Zorath ships from Earth. People watched the night sky ignite with light, and in the control center, Harper's final message came through the static. The Sunbreaker is gone. Rhea, she did it. Silence fell across the stars. The Empire's fleets retreated, broken and leaderless. But no one could find the UNS Phoenix. Only fragments drifted near the destroyed weapon, a silent reminder of the battle that saved humanity. Earth had survived, but at a terrible cost. Silence filled the galaxy. The war that had shaken the stars was finally over. The Sunbreaker had been destroyed, and with it, the Zorath Empire's greatest weapon, but Earth had paid a heavy price. Commander Rhea Solis and the UNS Phoenix were gone. No signal, no survivors, only echoes drifting through the dark, and yet humanity still stood over Earth's blue horizon. The wreckage of war floated, broken ships, shattered satellites, glowing fragments of metal that once carried dreams and fear. In the Capitol Dome, crowds gathered around giant holoscreens as the Earth Council broadcast a message of hope. Dr. Ilara Venn, tired but smiling, stood before the camera. The Empire is in retreat. Their fleets are gone. Humanity is free once more. Cheers erupted in the streets. Children waved flags with the Phoenix insignia. People cried, not out of sadness but relief. For the first time in centuries, the stars were open again. In orbit, Lieutenant Harper floated in silence inside a damaged escape pod. His body was weak, his uniform torn, his breath shallow. But he was alive. The explosion of the Sunbreaker had thrown his pod deep into a debris field. He didn't know how long he'd been unconscious. The pod's systems flickered weakly, and a single message blinked on the cracked screen. Signal detected, UNS. Phoenix Harper's eyes widened. He whispered hoarsely, Rhea. He pressed the thrusters, guiding the pod toward the faint beacon. As the light grew stronger, a massive shadow appeared, the Phoenix half destroyed, drifting near the ruins of the Sunbreaker. Its hull was blackened, its engines dead, but the bridge dome still glowed faintly. Harper's pod latched onto the wreck. He climbed through a breach, coughing from the smoke and dust. Inside, everything was silent, consoles flickering, walls torn apart. He followed the signal deeper into the ship, until he reached the command deck. There, in the captain's chair, sat Rhea Solis. Her armor was cracked, her face pale, but her eyes were open. She was alive, barely. When she saw Harper, she gave a weak smile. "It took you long enough." Harper dropped his rifle in disbelief. You survived?" "Not for long," she said softly. "The reactor's dying. We have maybe an hour." He rushed to her side. "We'll get you out." "I'll call a rescue ship." She shook her head. "No, you'll call Earth. Tell them it's over. Tell them to rebuild, to explore again." Her gaze drifted to the stars outside. "For too long we hid in the dark, but now it's our turn to rise." Harper nodded, tears in his eyes. "I'll tell them. I promise." Rhea smiled faintly. "Good." Then she reached into her suit and handed him a small data chip. It glowed faint blue. "What is this?" Harper asked. She whispered, "The coordinates of every lost colony. The children of Earth scattered after the fall. We can bring them home." Her voice grew weaker. "Humanity isn't just surviving anymore, Harper. It's time to lead." Her hand fell still. Harper sat there for a long time, staring at the empty chair, the faint hum of the dying ship echoing around him. Then he stood up and saluted her, the last commander of the old war. Days later, a rescue fleet found the Phoenix wreck. Harper returned to Earth carrying Rhea's chip. The world mourned her, but they also celebrated her victory. A statue was raised in the capital, Rhea Solis, the defender of Earth, her face carved in silver, looking up toward the stars she saved. Years passed. The scars of war slowly healed. New cities rose where the old ones had been destroyed. The skies filled once again with ships, not of war, but of exploration. Children learned about the Ghost Fleet and the Battle of the Stars as stories of courage. And at night, they looked up at the same constellations their ancestors once feared they would never see again. One quiet evening, Harper stood on a balcony overlooking the ocean. The waves shimmered under the twin moons. He held Rhea's chip in his hand, now linked to the global network. Holograms lit the sky. The lost colonies, the forgotten worlds, the children of Earth scattered across the galaxy. Each one blinked with a small blue light. One by one, the signals came online. Messages appeared from distant planets, from human voices across the stars. "This is Colony Ares. We read you, Earth." Colony Epsilon reporting. "We are alive. We've been waiting for you." Harper smiled through tears. He whispered, "She did it, Rhea. Humanity's coming home." Far above, the old Phoenix wreck drifted near Earth's orbit, a silent monument to the war. Its engines were cold, its hull broken, but its name still glowed faintly in the dark, and sometimes, when the sun rose just right, its reflection shone across the sky, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light can rise again. They thought no force could challenge the Empire. But when the stars burned and the worlds fell, humanity did not bow. They fought. They endured. They rose. And the galaxy would never forget the day humanity struck back.